All right, Las Vegas. I know people are slowly going to hop on here, but this is going to be your opportunity to vent and really release some anger and some frustration. I mean, what do you say here? Really, I feel speechless at the moment. Um, Here's Matt. We'll bring in Matt right away here. Here you come, Matt. Hopefully this works this time, but we'll break this thing down. All right, let's see how long Facebook keeps you on for, Matt. I didn't even say
Yeah.
2 words here. So, 3-run series lead, a 3-nothing lead, and it takes a 4-goal power play. I don't think there's been one probably in the history of the NHL. We're going to have to learn everything we can about 4-goal power plays and 5-minute majors here. But, I mean, do we want to start there, Matt? You know, the Golden Knights, they lose the series in just epic fashion. Nobody's ever going to forget this. I mean,
Yeah.
it's going to stick in our minds, and it's going to stick in any hockey's fan mind for decades, Matt. I mean, just never seen anything like it. Don't know that we ever will see anything like this again. Just your initial thoughts on it.
Um, Raider-esque. I mean, that's the first thing that came to my mind is I lost my light. I don't know what just happened. It was very reminiscent of watching Raiders games where you just feel like the other shoe is going to drop. Like no matter how it
Of
didn't
course.
feel that way
Oh,
until it happened.
you cut out there for a little bit. Thank God you came back, though. So let's break this down. And again, those of you watching live, just go ahead and chime in and give us your thoughts. I mean, it's all and I get it, it's all centered around that penalty. We'll start there, and then we'll take a bigger view of this whole series, Matt. But so it's an unfortunate fall. That's what I see. I see, and I can't remember the guy's name, number 8 for. I don't know why it's not coming to me. But Eakin off
Pavelski.
Pavelski off the draw. And Eakin just does the cross. It's a cross check, right? He puts a
Hmm.
stick out. There's no question about that. But the way he falls awkwardly and then kind of gets a redirect from Ryan Reeves, who I don't think nobody talked about this, him pushing him down to the ice. I think it was just an unfortunate fall and an unfortunate angle. And whatever happened, whatever caused that cut, I mean, his helmet clearly landed on the ice. I don't know what could have caused that cut, but it just seemed like it looked a lot worse just because the fall was so awkward. Like the punishment didn't fit the crime there. Well, hopefully Matt comes back. Yeah, we've got to get a Wi-Fi check on Matt, but I guess this goes hand in hand with kind of the day that we've been having here in Las Vegas. Still trying to process it. We'll read some comments while Matt tries to get this back going here. Me too. Can't process it. Having a diaper baby tantrum. Yeah. Matt, are you there? You totally froze.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So your screen's frozen as far as I'm concerned. But people can hear you. So now it's gonna be like the on the phone. It'll be like a phoner deal where we see a picture of you and then you start to talk. But talk about again that fall, and it just looked a lot worse than what it was, and maybe that's all the referee saw. Great. All right, I'm going to have to boot him. We'll bring Matt back in. Matt, you got to come back on and hop on the feed again, and I'll bring you back in. Gerard Gallant should not have called Pete DeBoer a clown. It gave Sharks bulletin board material. Well, Benjamin, I'd make the opposite claim. I think what Gallant was doing, he never does that kind of stuff, and I guess we'll take a short turn, but Gallant doesn't come out and call out an individual, and certainly doesn't go after an opposing team very often, if at all. I think this was it was a distraction for his team. It was something to get his team, their minds off of Game 7 and take the pressure off of them and instead maybe talk a little bit more about Gerard Gallant and put the pressure on him and why did he say this and that kind of stuff versus what took place with the guys. I just want to learn everything about 5-minute major penalties that I possibly can. And again, as any Vegas fan goes, I grew up here, I'm from here, I'm Vegas born. It's not like I knew the game of hockey inside and out. I don't know what constitutes a 5-minute major in that scenario unless it's just completely up to the officials, right? The officials see blood, and then they call 5 minutes. I don't know if it's as simple as that. Where is there a review process here? I get that it looked bad. You see blood on the ice pooling like that, and you see, the trainer running out there and teammates running out there, that, it looks bad, but is there no sort of review process here to really get a look at it and say, okay, does this constitute 5 minutes? And then when it happens, you're thinking, hey, it's a 3-goal lead, and the referees can't be thinking this is going to change the entire tone of the game, but that's what it did. And those goals came in so fast, right? The first one comes in 6 seconds in, and then the other one comes within a minute of the power play beginning, and they just came bam, bam, bam. I mean, they came so fast. Don't know, if you can put that on Marc-Andre Fleury or which ones. He still had to let in the goals, and I get that. Here's Matt. Let me try to bring him in. All right, we'll bring Matt back in. We can get him to talk. I don't know that you put any blame on Fleury here. I mean, he did let in the goals, Matty. You're back on. It's just talk about where you cut off is that it looked like an awkward fall, right? Marc-Andre Fleury still had to give up the goals here, but still, it's an egregious call that changes the entire dynamic of the game.
It was literally the series, and it could end up ultimately changing the entire face of the playoffs. I mean, the Golden Knights were on their way to a 3-0 victory. And say what you want about, they were able to even it up and they got it to overtime and they had their chances, and they did. But something like that is completely demoralizing. It's deflating to a team. And even to get back to that point, to pull Fleury from the net and get that extra skater on the ice and that late Marchessault goal with under a minute to go, it still takes so much to get back to that point after having the game ripped away from you. There is a big difference between losing and having it taken away from you. And I think we saw the latter tonight, where the Knights did not lose that game. They were in complete control of that game. Again, 3-0 lead with 10 minutes to go. And a call that, I mean, you just got done talking about trying to figure out exactly what a 5-minute major constitutes. That's not it. I understand when blood is drawn on a high stick, it's a bigger penalty. You get the double minor. It's 4 minutes versus the 2 minutes, things like that. But that was not an egregious penalty. It was a cross check, and at the very most should have drawn 2 minutes. And to overreact, and you saw Joe Thornton come onto the ice, and he was immediately screaming for 5 minutes without probably even seeing what happened. I don't think any of the refs even saw what happened. They guessed, and they guessed wrong, and it changed the playoffs.
Yeah, and again, I mean, where's the replay there? Especially in this scenario where it's a game 7, and I know hockey's always been this way, right? They've constituted more and more replays over time, but I just don't know. Again, I don't know how these penalties are called, so I'm not going to go out there and say that I know. But how do you not take a look at this at the hit? How do you not take a look at the hit? I mean, you see blood, but again, blood can come for a number of reasons, and I get the high sticking penalty, for example, right? If it draws blood, it's 4 minutes, right? So even then, right, a cross check, blood, okay, is it 4 minutes, right? Is it a double minor? That means at the most they get 2 power plays out of this thing instead of, right, again, a consistent straight 5 minutes of an extra skater. And that crowd had to be going nuts. And the way that I watch this, Matt, because I don't have, I cut the cord, so the only feed I could actually pull in was the Sharks feed. I had to watch the away feed. And not once did those announcers, of course, question the call itself. And the post-game show, not once did they talk about whether 5 minutes was the right call. But I do agree with you. I mean, they really did get a rip from their hands. And I get the Knights lost the series, right? And they had a 3-1 lead. But you look at Game 5, Golden Knights played a good game, they lost. You look at Game 6, Golden Knights played an excellent game, and they lost. You look at Game 7, Golden Knights had a 3-0 lead, and they lost. I don't think there's any question here. Golden Knights should have won this series. It's just an unfortunate series of events that culminates with a guy getting hurt, a 5-minute major, 4 straight goals, and then and still that's not all she wrote. You still had to play an overtime period for it to go down how it went down. I'm just shell shocked. Yeah. There's no other way to phrase it.
There's going to be a ridiculous narrative out there that this team choked. It seems like now anytime that you blow any type of series lead or even an in-game lead, the narrative has to be that one of the two teams choked something away, and that's not the case here. if the Knights were up 3-0 in this game as they were with 10 minutes to play, and you had 10 more minutes of 5-on-5 even strength hockey, and they lost this game 4-3 in regulation, that's a choke job. When you're up 3-1, you have to take, and it's so cliche, and coaches talk about it all the time, one game at a time, one game at a time. But that's what it is. Each game is individual. It's separate from the last game. It's separate from the next game. At no point did the Knights choke anything away. And as far as this game is concerned, it was taken from them. And that needs to be the narrative, that they were 50 minutes into a game in complete control, and somehow the referees made a call that completely changed the course of the game. It's, in my opinion, short-sighted to say that they choked in any way, shape, or form, but that's what the narrative is going to be, because people love to push that agenda.
Yeah, and it's, again, unfortunate for all you fans out there watching. It's just, I'm watching with my son and with my wife, and, my wife's losing her stuff. I mean, it's just how does that happen? And it happens so quickly that you can't even process it, right? And I think that's what a lot of Golden Knights fans hear, and the people even chiming in. I mean, you're not seeing swearing, you're not seeing anger, you're not seeing, just venting of just pure vitriol. It's just, can't believe that this is the way that the season ended. And it's just, right, as you said, just yanked. 3 days ago, Matt, less than a week ago, we're talking about how the Golden Knights are the favorite to win the Stanley Cup, completely in the driver's seat. And then to have that essential rug pulled out from under, and go ahead.
John, with 10 minutes to go in the game, I think they were the Stanley Cup favorite. Honestly,
right.
they were on the road in Game 7, and they completely dominated a Sharks team that was doing everything they could to find themselves a goal. I don't know what's going on with my light, by the way.
It's okay. It looks good.
Out on me. They did everything they could to try to get back in that game, and they couldn't do it until the referees handed it to them. So it's a frustrating loss, man. It's shell shock is what it is. I mean, you don't see stuff like that. And I keep going back to the tuck rule, and I know salty Patriot fan out there is going to say get over it, but it's the same kind of thing, man. I got over that Super Bowl loss to the Buccaneers pretty easily. It sucks to lose a championship, but you lost. You got beat. The better team kicked the crap out of you. You move on. The tuck rule game, the Raiders, the game was over. They had the ball less than 2 minutes. There was no timeouts left. They kneeled twice and the game's over, and the referees took that from them. This feels the same way. Last year, it sucked. It sucked to see them lose the Stanley Cup final, but they played great through the entire season. They got there in their inaugural season, and they lost to the better team, and we know that. Exactly. They just got beat by a better team. That didn't happen tonight. They were the better team, and they had it taken away from them. And then it's going to be a tough one to swallow for a long time. And unfortunately for Vegas, they're probably going to see a lot more of it because the Raiders are coming to town.
Just reading comments here, Richard. We should have never allowed it to get to Game 7, right, which we just touched on, but it is what it is. What are you going to do? You played a better game in Game 6. Should have ended in Game 6, right? But again, that's hockey, as they say. However, we definitely did not choke in this game. Refs gave the game to the Sharks. See, Vegas fans are smart. Michael Wynn never seen anything like this. Toby.
And that's a Canadian guy, by the way. That's a Jets fan who's been watching hockey since the time he opened his eyes.
I mean, imagine the highlights on SportsCenter, Matt. 4 goals on a power play. That's just what everybody's going to remember. 4 goals on a power play.
It would have been nothing more than a footnote in this year's playoffs had the Knights been able to win that game in overtime. Right. Instead, this becomes history. This becomes one of the most egregious calls we've ever seen in not just hockey, but in sports in general. It's magnified that much because of the end result, and it's just unfortunate.
Toby saying that, so Toby's going a different direction. The Stastny line looked exhausted during overtime. Well, guess what? They played 3 overtime periods in 2 games. And the game winner was scored on them.
Everybody looked exhausted.
They blew the series, not this game, but the series. Hard to say that when they scored 12 goals in the first 4 games of the series. Mitch Roberts. Hey, Mitch. Not sure you're still on, but he's crushed. NHL should be ashamed. The thievery on the part of the officials. Yeah, it just happened so fast. And I think that's the problem.
Can we talk about the fact that Pavelski was trying to sell that, and that's what got him hurt? If you go back and watch the replay, when Eakin cross-checked him, Pavelski was, he's a little off balance, but he leapt off of his left foot to try to sell it a little more, not knowing Reeves was coming through, and Reeves bumped him, and that's what caused him to go
Right.
down harder
And
than what
Reeves
he
doesn't get the
was originally
misconduct.
going to go
It's
down.
Eakin that gets the misconduct.
Right. And that's, I mean, and somebody just said you can't take that penalty up 3-0. I understand that. And they didn't, that's not the penalty that they were given. They did not earn that penalty. That penalty was handed to them wrongly. Is basically what it comes down to. So I don't think that they did anything wrong. They didn't play bad. They didn't make mistakes. They played a good game and again had it taken from them.
Rich Giacovino saying when the refs go back to the office, will they be getting pats on the back from their coworkers? They should be demoted. Benjamin, even with the iffy call, you can't let in 4 goals in 4 minutes in the NHL. Again, now let's debate this, Matt. Right, so let's talk about this. Again, it happened so fast. Don't know what we can or what you can, if anything, blame on Marc-Andre Fleury here. I mean, you're shell-shocked. It's a 5-minute major. You let in the first one 6 seconds in, and the Golden Knights are completely on their heels, right? But at what point do you draw the line? And I know we've set this up, and we talked for the last 15 minutes about how essentially this game has been ripped from them. But let's look at the other side now for a little bit and look at this power play. You give up 4 goals in the span of 5 minutes. At what point do you just say enough's enough, and do you blame the penalty kill? If you can at all, in any scenario, I don't know. I don't even know what you can say.
I think that's an easy scapegoat, right? I mean, you look at the way that game was going, and the Sharks were dead. They were dead, and they had no life in them. They were basically 10 minutes away from going home, and they knew that, and they could see that. And then you get this penalty, and there's a difference between getting a power play where it's 2 minutes, and if you score, you're back to full strength, and you hope you can find another one, and getting a 5-minute major where you know that you can do anything you want for 5 minutes. It doesn't matter how many you score. You're staying on that man advantage. That's a long time to be on a penalty kill. And because they got that first goal so quickly, they were able to capitalize on that momentum, and it snowballed. You can blame the PK all you want. The penalty kill was fine all night long. They did a great job in the first period with 2 minors in the first 6 minutes, about maybe 60 seconds apart, if that, and they killed both of those. So, to jump on the penalty kill is that's a tough one, man. They're on their heels right away because of a bad penalty. Eakin is great on the penalty kill, and he's now in the locker room. They were they were in a bad way at that point. And if you want to blame the penalty kill, fine, but it should have never come to that.
So you say the Raiders. Matt, I can't think of anything. Right? That even mirrors this. And, one of my biggest sports memories is going to be Game 7 of the Cubs and the Indians, clearly, to end, and that's a series that the Cubs were down 3-1, and they came back to win it. But that wasn't a game that was ripped away from the Indians, right? It wasn't.
No, but imagine had the Indians had bases loaded in the 9th, and 3 pitches hit the backstop, and the ump calls a strike on all 3, and the Indians go home and give the Cubs.
Right, that would be the comparison.
It's a completely different sport, different scenario, but I mean that's what it would feel like. That you didn't do anything wrong, you did everything right, you were in a position to win, yet somehow an outside entity took that away from you, and that's what happened.
Yeah, so what is it? World Series calls where that umpire calls, was it the Cardinals? He calls the runner safe when he's out, or out when he's safe. I can't remember that. I think we're going to have to dive deep in these next couple days, really, to process this and try to see where it comes out. And again, I got the Sharks feed at home, so if you're just joining us, first off, say whatever you want. I'm trying to get through all your comments, but please leave them. Keep watching. I'm scrolling through them here. But I was stuck with the Sharks feed, so I didn't get any Golden Knights takes on this. I don't know what Gallant said. I don't know what the players said.
Well, I'm seeing it right here. Aiden Williams says he's watching the Gallant press conference right now, and the ref said it was head contact. I mean, that's...
Well, it was
head contact with the ice. His head contacted the ice. That's what drew blood. Yeah. That's what cut him open. It was nothing that the Knights did.
It was his chest.
It's bad,
here's Jason. Jason saying hockey needs to implement a video assistant referee to review major calls like that, kind of like soccer does. Total momentum shift in the span of 4 minutes. Well, 5 minutes. They did choke. Marcus saying they did choke. No matter how you look at it, 3-1 series lead, and we cannot win just one game. That's a choke.
I disagree.
It hurts, but we had our chances.
It's not a choke.
Right,
I disagree.
Right. When you look at it globally, right, when anybody, Joe, Q Public, looks at a 3-1 series lead and then says 4-3, and I'm just paraphrasing what you said, Matt, it looks like a choke job, but you can't look at it like that in hockey. Game 5, they lost. Game 6, they were the better team, clearly the better team. They lost in double overtime. Game 7, they got robbed. It's not a choke job, but you're right. That's going to be the narrative moving forward, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And then Toby, again, it's just, and now it's interesting, and I don't know, what affiliation these guys are. I know Marcus is a Knights fan. Toby saying bottom line, 4 goals scored in 5 minutes. Horrible call, but they needed to kill.
4 goals in 5 minutes on a bad penalty, not on – I mean, it's not like they were full strength 5-on-5. Yeah. It's just so different. It's so different than what you would ever see.
Yeah, this is strange that I'm reading what I'm reading. John Beattie saying you cannot ever take a major penalty when down 3-0. Well, they didn't take a major penalty. It was called a major penalty. And there's no – It was an awkward fall. It was an awkward fall. It was chest contact on the cross-check. That's a penalty. He gets twisted and a bump from Ryan Reeves. Again, Reeves – and now if Reeves had pushed him down to the ice, that I could see being a major penalty. If you saw him forcibly using his hands to shove him down, now his hands were moving down to kind of finish a check, but there wasn't any sort of dramatic contact there. That could be construed as a major penalty, just shoving somebody down.
Marchessault said the explanation on the ice was from the officials was it looks pretty bad. So again, like I said at the beginning, they guessed.
Right.
They guessed. And they guessed wrong, and they changed the course of the game completely. And again, if this happens 10 minutes into the game, all right, it's the first period and this happens, you have an entire game to make things up. This was such a blitz. Just hit them so quickly with only 10 minutes to go. I mean, they're getting ready to put champagne on ice in the locker room for this series. Yeah, it was over. The Sharks were done, and that changed everything. I mean, it happened so quickly with not that much time left. And kudos to Marchessault and the rest of the team for finding that fourth goal with under a minute to go. But, I mean, it took so much just to get back to that point after having your heart ripped out with 10 minutes to play. And overtime was tough, man. It could have gone either way. Both teams had chances. Just like in Game 6, both teams had chances. And the guy gets behind everybody and beats Fleury. And that's
it was a great play. We'll give the Sharks that. I mean, that last play. But, again, shouldn't have even come to that. But that was a really good goal there by the Sharks to win it. Again, it makes me want to throw up just to say that. Sharks were so jacked after that quick goal. This is from Michael Wynn. They were so jacked after that quick goal. I'm thinking they score 4 on any team in that situation. And that's true. You consider the circumstance, and again, that crowd that was going freaking bonkers. Imagine, just for a second, Matt, being on the other side of that, being down 3-0 and scoring 4 straight. I mean, geez Louise, this city would be on fire right now. And in San Jose, it's like whatever, right? I mean, I'm sure inside the SAP Center is a big deal, but San Jose is going to forget about it as a whole tomorrow. But hey, how about that Sharks game last night? City of Vegas would have set this place on fire to win a Game 7 like that. So it's funny, again, how you have a new sports market that really cherishes this versus an old sports market that's used to losing in the playoffs, right? And it's just going to be just another day to them. It's like we had Angel Hernandez as ref tonight, Richard Hernandez. That's a good comment. And again, I'm
pretty accurate.
Trying to think of what
I saw. A Mountain West refs comment on Twitter tonight as well. Mountain West officials were in this game.
Now I'm just catching up here on comments. The only thing that came close to this is when the Flyers were down 3-0 against Boston and came back when Gagne came back from injury. Even in Game 7, they went down 3-0 as well. Just shows how much one thing can change all the momentum. Exactly. And still, with 10 minutes to go in the game, that's what's frustrating, right? Yeah. TV commentators nailed it. Penalty was for the result, not the action. Right. Exactly. Ridiculous approach to officiating. So, there's no question they should have reviewed it. Why didn't they? Is it because that's how hockey's always done it? Again, I just don't have anything to compare it to.
I don't think that's a reviewable play. I don't think it's in the rule book that they can go and review something like that. It's unfortunately a judgment call. But again, when the referees got together, there's absolutely no way any of them could have saw what it is that they said they saw, because that's not what happened. So they saw a guy on the ground bleeding on the ice, and their assumption was that it was from a head hit from Eakin. not a head hit
Right.
from Meekin.
It wouldn't have been a
Obviously,
major.
they guessed and made a wrong call. It's unfortunate though that a referee crew can get together like that and just completely whiff on a call. There's no way that anybody definitively could have come out and said, yeah, look, I saw Eakin hit him in the head. That's going to be 5-minute major because he drew blood, and that's going to be a game misconduct, and he's gone. There's no way anybody saw that because that didn't happen. So again, they guessed, and that's just a poor job by the officials of getting together and coming up with the right
Yeah,
call.
Benjamin got it nailed. At most, double minor. At most, double minor. Even if you got the call wrong, then you'd call a double minor. I think, again, we've got the benefit of seeing it again, right? Cross-check, 2 minutes. Then you're thinking on the high end. And, again, watching the Sharks feed, they were like, oh, this could be a 4-minute major. And then they were surprised when it became a 5-minute major. And they were all, and they knew immediately, hey, this game's not over. When you're down 3-0 and you've got a 5-minute power play, clearly some things can happen. And, man, we saw some stuff that we're not going to forget for a lot. This is going to be burned. And you talk about Vegas sports history, Matt, so let's touch on that. As far as epic losses go, right? I mean, Duke UNLV has to be number one. Does this overtake Duke UNLV because of the way that this went down? I think it's got to be number one. It's got to be the worst loss in Vegas sports history, right?
UNLV played a bad game.
Right.
They came into that game overconfident. They lost their starting point guard with what was there 6 minutes ago in that game on let's not forget a pretty iffy charging call against Bobby Hurley. But that was a tight game, and Duke was a good team, and they lost. I mean, plain and simple, they lost that game. You can go back to certain calls here and there, but they lost that game. This is different. The game was in hand for the most part, and it was taken away by somebody not wearing a Sharks jersey. So yeah, you have to put this up there. And again, I'll reiterate, this is going to be a tougher one to swallow than last season's Stanley Cup final loss because of the way that it happened.
Right, absolutely. So I'll go ahead and say it again. Contextually, can't think of anything else, Matt. This is the worst loss in Vegas. Major League sports history. Well, for sure Major League, but sports history. I don't think there's any question about it.
Put this into context. When you think about how long this city had to wait to get professional sports, and in 2 seasons with this incredible hockey team that we have, we've seen them make a Stanley Cup final run. We saw them clinch 3 series on the road last season. Now we see them go to Game 7, back-to-back overtime games. This huge controversial call with the major penalty, and we're only 2 seasons into having this franchise here. And next season, you add the NFL to that. Man, strap in if this is what it's going to be like to have pro sports in this city, because it's a ride.
Dean is on saying, I don't give a blank about this year's, I should swear because it's Facebook, but I don't feel unless it's my words, I'm not going to swear. I don't give a blank about this year's playoffs anymore. Not sure I'll even care about next season. And we'll talk about this momentarily, but this game made the NHL a joke. Matt, do you even want to watch the playoffs after this?
Game for game? No, because your vested interest changes, right? Obviously, I'll remain interested in the overall result, but I've watched most of the games up to this point that I've been able to watch throughout the entire course of the playoffs. The game today between Boston and Toronto was fantastic, really tightly contested third period. It's been a lot of fun, but you no longer care who wins at this point unless you happen to have some old alliances to certain teams. All you wanted to see was who were the Knights going to play next and who could they play going forward. That's done. To say this game made the NHL a joke, I mean, are you going to watch football anymore? Because that call with New Orleans and LA last season in the NFC Championship game was a bit of a joke. And I'm pretty confident you're probably going to end up watching football next season as well. There are bad calls everywhere. It doesn't determine the overall viewpoint of a league. This was a bad call in a fantastic league and an exciting sport in a Game 7. It's not an indictment on the league. It's an indictment on the call.
Yeah, Matt says he's done with this. Is Matt Evans. I'm done with hockey this season. Richard Hernandez. All I want to hear is the Avalanche coming down on the Sharks. They need to be destroyed. Nasty team. Dean again. Forget about Vegas history. This is the worst call in NHL history. The league has to review calls of this nature. If it's going to review goals and goalie interference, this made a 4-goal difference, not just 1 goal. And he makes a point.
Absolutely.
He makes a point.
you can't disagree with that. Absolutely, a call like this, how often do you hear, that call can't be made at the end of a basketball game? You can't call that foul when he's taking a three. The pass interference call that I just mentioned in the Rams Saints game, had they called that, every Rams fan on the planet says you can't make that call at that point of the game. In this game, you can't make that call. And the reason you can't make that call is because that call didn't happen. That penalty did not happen, and they made the call anyways. And that's what makes this such a bad call.
I don't know how long it's going to take me to process. I mean, I'm thinking in the context of, and I think you already mentioned it, Matt, 2 years, 2 playoff teams, both years the betting favorite to win the Stanley Cup. We know that this is a very good hockey team in Las Vegas. It's just the series, for whatever way and whatever reason you want to give for the way things went down, it just doesn't pan out. I mean, it's sad, but it's year 2, and I'm already thinking, okay, well, pretty good hockey team's going to come back for year 3. Nikita Gusev probably going to make the opening day roster now. Gallant's going to, George McPhee. He's a restricted free agent now officially. They're going to have to re-sign him to some sort of long-term deal, which is what George McPhee wanted to. You're looking at Belmar, could be gone. I don't know. I can't remember who else the restricted or free agents are. Nozek, I'm not sure if he was a free agent. Again, this is happening so fast. I don't know who may not be. Derek England, right? He may have played his last hockey game, which he played a good game, by the way. He did. He was good on the penalty kill. Certainly a lot better than the guy that we saw that helped give up a goal with 6 seconds left in the first period of Game 6.
Yeah, but you have some defensive depth down there in minor leagues, and you've got guys like Nick Hague that are getting ready to come up. You got White Cloud down there getting ready to come up. Look at a guy like Cody Glass. How close is he to coming up and being a forward on this team? There's going to be a lot of moving parts this offseason. What's the deal with Eric Howla? Is he going to return healthy? You're guaranteed the top 6. They're coming back for sure. Schmidt's going to be back. Theodore will be there. Tuck will be there.
Carlson may not be, so William Karlsson's the only.
I'm pretty confident they keep Karlsson. I would be shocked if they let a guy like that.
He's the only one that's not locked up, though.
One of the best players on this team. Let's be honest. There's really no reason to let a guy like that walk. He's fantastic, and if you watch him, you watch the way he gets back into the neutral zone on these back checks sometimes, and it's amazing. When 3 seconds prior to that, he was putting a shot on net. So I would be surprised if the top 6 has changed at all. But that bottom 6, I think there's going to be some movement. I think there's going to be some improvement, definitely. And you probably get younger on the defensive side, which means you probably get a little quicker on the defensive side, and that can only
help. And I'm seeing, the Avalanche brought in the college kid that scored a goal in his first game. The Dallas Stars had a teenager playing defense, so I was kind of shocked. I guess I'm just so used to seeing the Golden Knights trot out Derek England, and they're a little bit trending on the older side there. That a lot of teams go very young defensively. So you're right, and it goes back to what I said, right? And I don't mean to labor this point, right? But that goal with 6 seconds left in the first period of Game 6. That could have been the series as well. You don't give up that goal. You got a 1-0 lead. Maybe it doesn't even get to overtime. Getting the defensive pairings, not the defense as a whole, but the defensive pairings, I think that really does clearly need the most work on this team, and it'll be interesting to see what George McPhee can do with limited cap space, how many of those young kids come up and fill some roles.
I think you see Nick Hague come up for sure. Yeah. I think he's ready to go. He's a big kid, and he's got a good shot, and I think he may be the first one you see come up. We'll see. Cody Glass got to the Chicago Wolves at the end of the season and with them for the playoffs. So how close is he? Are they going to let him sit in the AHL for another season, or McPhee always talks about letting these guys cook. Is he cooked enough, or is he needing a little more time in the oven before he gets up here? So. We'll see. You're going to have changes. It's unfortunate that we're already talking about the offseason.
No, I know. I don't want to talk about it anymore.
You expected another 6 weeks of hockey from this team, and it was ripped away.
Brandon Peary had a nice game, Matt. Gerard Gallant getting some fresh legs out there. We heard Belmar was injured. That's why he didn't play. But Peary had a very good game, put some pucks on net, played very well defensively, I thought, as well, which, again, was, is the shortcoming in his game. And I like the move by Gallant to bring in Peary. You go offense, and then there's the other side. Well, if you're going to go Peary, why not just go ahead and go Gusev and throw him in there and see what he can do? But I thought Peary
He's never played in the
a
NHL.
very good game. I thought Peary played great, and I believe that his status is going to be up in the air. He'd be a free agent, and probably one of the guys that you would think that may not be able to come back, unless it's just you need to fill a roster spot at minimum salary, and maybe he's a guy that does stick around. Still on comments, Matt, and maybe you could talk about this because the Sharks feed did not show this at all. I saw people talking about it on social media. What about the lady with the nachos behind Gallant?
I didn't see the lady with
you know
the
what?
nachos.
Now that I think about it, I saw it for like 2 seconds, and I noticed it, and I was like, who's this lady with the nachos? And then they didn't show another shot of her on the feed that I was watching.
I never saw the lady with the nachos.
Yeah, it was a big deal. David saying, worst call in NHL history. Matt Evans, Marshy was pissed. I love Marshy. He's my boy, man. He's my boy. And penalty box in Game 6 with the gloves, throwing the gloves all over the place, grabbing his crotch, grossing balls. He said that it was highly entertaining, and he had the big goal in Game 6 as well, which was great.
And 7.
Yeah, Carlson going to get a contract. Matt Evans is asking. We touched about that. Matt says yes. I think you have to make it work too, and he is one of the best players on the hockey team. Even if he doesn't put 40 goals in the net, I think he's proven his value as a two-way player. Dean here back again with the 2 Russians coming in on offense. That's right, the second Russian that we hadn't talked about. I see us getting rid of a forward or 2 for defensive help. Well, Belmar could be a spot that's cleared up. And again, Brandon Peary might be that second spot that's already cleared up. Again, not looking at the roster or knowing who else has to be re-signed. That could be the option there for George McPhee. Matt Bolton. Hey, Matt. John has to get some AirPods. Oh, yeah. Well, now here's the deal. I don't want that Bluetooth radiation going through my head, okay? I heard too many bad things about it, so I'm going to stick with wired. Wired's reliable, too. Oh, Ron Hoffman on. Ronnie, all right, let's see. Let's see what Ron has to say. Referee should never make a call that changes the outcome of a Game 7, right? And it is. It's like the end of a game scenario that you and I were talking about, Matt. You can't let a referee make that call. Now, 10 minutes to go
you can't.
In hockey is different than – well, I mean, it'd be like a call with 3 minutes left in hockey. You're thinking 10 minutes. There's still a lot of game left, and I see where we're coming from here. I don't know that it's like an end-of-game call. I just feel like the referees made that call not knowing the ramifications of the call that they made.
It's not only that they made the call, it's that they made the wrong call, which changes the narrative completely. It's one thing if Eakin came through and he cross-checked him in the mouth and the guy went down and hit his head and Pavelski's bleeding all over the ice and it's an egregious foul and justly so, he was kicked out of the game. That's not what happened. They guessed wrong. The thing about it is kind of an end of the game scenario because by the time that penalty was over, there was 5 minutes left in the game and the Knights were now losing. So, yeah, it was 10 minutes to go when it happened, but because of the style of penalty that it is, by the time that was up, 5 minutes left. That's it. So, that's late. That's a pretty late game thing, and wrong call, man. Just the wrong call.
Just shot goal, and then another goal, and then another goal, and then it's 4-3.
And you knew with that first one, 6 seconds in, you knew it was going to be that way. You had a sense that it was about to snowball.
I'm thinking worst case. All right, so they tie it up at 3, and then you go from there. But they get that 4th goal, Matt, and I couldn't believe it. My wife walked away. She's like, I don't know if I can watch this anymore. My son fell asleep for overtime. He was watching regulation. He fell asleep for overtime, though. It's a memory. It's a bad memory, but it's certainly a memory. And I kind of want these now, Matt, right here in Vegas. We haven't had a lot of them. The only ones that I can remember, again, are the 2 Duke UNLV games, right, the championship games. Mm-hmm. I remember very vividly the Little League World Series team and them making a run to a championship and the Stanley Cup final last year and then this game here. It's a bad memory, but still it's nice to be – I don't even say nice, but we are building sports memories in Vegas, which we haven't been able to do that. So in that sense, I guess it's cool. We're becoming, you're not an official major league city until you get hosed on some major call that changes a series.
In 2 years, we've lost
that
the
list.
Stanley
so I think
Cup
we've
final.
Yeah, we've been fully initiated as sports fans. So those people out there that are like, "Oh, you're
Mm.
Vegas, whatever." Well, we'll just point to this game and we could say, "Yeah, we got jobbed just like you may have, Cubs fan that waited 100 years to win a World Series." But
I don't know that any Cub fan actually waited the 100. Was there any
oh
100
no,
and
there was
something
some
year
old lady in a
old
wheelchair.
waiting? I
There was a
mean, you didn't wait 100 years,
there,
John. You waited what,
there was one
36
gal.
years?
Uh,
You're all right. You're all
Ron's
right.
coming in on the Golden Knights side. So Ron, clearly, I'm sure he had tears flowing at the end of this, like a lot of Knights fans did. Not a game misconduct.
Yeah.
Watch,
My son unfortunately went upstairs with
yeah,
tears flowing.
brutal,
He's not too happy about
brutal.
it.
Yeah, and then Ron, you're just talking about what we've already talked about. They blew a 3-1 series lead. Yeah,
They didn't
right.
blow the
Go ahead,
series.
Matt.
They got
Yeah,
beat. They didn't blow this narrative drives me crazy. The whole blown the series thing. They went to San Jose for game 5 in San Jose and they got beat. They didn't play terrible, but they got beat. San Jose was up for
right.
that game. They got up on them early and they weren't able to come back on them. So they got beat. You go into a double overtime game where a goalie stands on his head and saves 58 out of 59 shots, and you're going to say that they blew that game. It's ridiculous. You run into hot goalies, that happens. A goalie can carry you through the entire playoffs. Go ask Marc-Andre Fleury. He's done it. And tonight's game, they didn't blow anything. They're up 3-0 with 10 minutes to go, and they have it taken from them from the referees, and unfortunately lose in overtime again when both teams had chances. They didn't blow anything. They got beat. Tonight, they got robbed. Simple as that.
Saints fans stand with us. Richard Hernandez saying, "Yeah, I mean that's pretty comparable. I guess that's a good comparison. You know, if you were going to at least compare it to anything recent." Tony is happy. Yeah, yeah. Well, we don't even want to mention that. I just read that, but yeah, you can probably bank on that. Who were the refs tonight? Who made that call? Hope we remember these a-holes next year. That's true. You know, hockey referees, nobody really knows who they are, right? You know, NBA officials. We certainly know the Mountain West Conference officials in basketball. But you're right. I would certainly make a note of who these referees are, who made the call. They got together. They talked about this. Certainly, that's something that they're going to need to review. And I just wonder, you know, if they even release a statement that says, "Hey, you know, we blew the call here. There's nothing we can do about it right now." But you know,
The NFL loves to do that. The Raiders get about a letter a week
yeah,
from the NFL saying, "Oh, sorry about that. We missed the
yeah.
call." I wouldn't be surprised if the NHL comes out and says, "Ooh, that probably shouldn't have been a 5-minute major." But what can you do about it? The Tuck rule's been changed because
Right.
it was such a stupid rule and misinterpreted in that game in general. So you know, there's nothing you can do about it, unfortunately. And it's going to sting a lot of people for a long
Yeah,
time.
no question. Bill Foley at those owners' meetings, that this will be a proposal he brings up about major penalties being reviewed before they are actually officially called, and they should be able to review it. I again don't know. I'm not going to claim to know as a relatively new hockey fan. Fights really aren't reviewed though, right, Matt? You just make a call on the ice, right, for game misconduct, because it's pretty clear. The referees are there. The fight's happening. They have some time to process this. But this play was
Right.
so bang, bang. You just see blood. You see a guy down, and you're like, oh, that's a major. I mean, it's pretty, what's the word I'm looking for? Erroneous to just make a decision based on
Yeah.
that, considering
Yeah.
the
Again, they
situation.
guessed.
Yeah.
I can't say it enough. They guessed. They completely guessed as to what happened on the ice. They didn't know. They got together. What did you see? I didn't see it. Well, he's bleeding. You heard so it looks pretty bad. So they guessed on what actually happened. For Eakin to get that penalty for a head contact hit is ridiculous when his stick, hands, everything nowhere near Pavelski's head. So Belmar was not missed tonight on the penalty killing. They were fantastic on the penalty kill until they had a 5-minute major against them, and then it just snowballed. And I don't think it had anything to do with Belmar.
So what are you going to do to drown your sorrows here, Matt? I'm just curious. You going to have a couple shots tonight? I'm just going to go to bed because I'm worn out. I mean,
you mean a couple
that's
more?
this is. I mean, I was at Game 6, sitting there double overtime, losing my mind, sitting up there. I mean, that's how intense it was. And again, you had just. I don't even know. I just feel like I need to lay down for like 3 weeks to recover.
Will probably be awake for the next 4 hours.
Yeah.
It's games like this. It's really hard for me to come down generally. And this one, man, you just get so much going through your mind on it, and you replay certain things, and and you go back and look at certain moments in that game and how close that one shot came to going into the net, and it missed just wide in that overtime by inches. Um, Man, it's a tough one to swallow, but we're sports adrenaline for a reason. Mine's through the roof right now, and it'll be that way for the next few hours. So I'm not going to bed anytime soon.
Feel like the Clark County School District has a reason to cancel a school day as opposed to that quote snow day that we had.
They just made it up on Monday.
Right.
I don't think they're going to cancel another one.
I know,
but
I
yeah,
mean,
I'd be okay with it.
This was the reason. It wasn't that snow day. You're right. They did make it up on Easter Monday, so all the kids were in school then. NHL has the best replay in sports. Use it. Yeah, Ron, absolutely.
It's not a reviewable call. But
it should be now, right?
I mean, I believe it's in the rule book that call is not a reviewable call. Yeah, you're right, John. Right. It should be. It absolutely should be, especially when you're guessing at what actually transpired on the ice. Game moves so quickly; it's hard to see everything. You only have a few officials out there, but it's the wrong call. You gotta look at it.
Again, if you're the referees in this scenario, right? If you can't review it, why don't you have a range of how to call this, a 2-minute, a 4-minute, or 5 minutes. So why don't you go in between, and that way you can reason either way. You can say, okay, well, we thought it was an egregious penalty, so we went 4 minutes, but we didn't think it reached a 5 level, right? You can explain it that way. Or, oh, no, well, it didn't look like a 2. I mean, towing the line there right in the middle might have been the smart way to go here instead of just jumping to conclusions and jumping to that 5-minute call, because you can defend yourself either way.
And would anybody outside of San Jose been upset if a replay caused the game to be a little bit longer? I mean, you have to get the call right. When it's a call of that magnitude in that game, that scenario, you have to get that call right. You can't afford to just take a blind shot at it and hope you got it right, especially when the end result is a major game misconduct and you lose your third line center.
Yeah. Dean gave us the names Dan O'Halloran, so a good Irishman. Trevor Hansen and Eric Furlat. Those are the 3 names. So
I think Dean has the hit out
already.
I'm
going to take a screenshot of those, and we'll remember. I have a feeling our friends from Sinbin will know the first time those guys set foot at T-Mobile Arena next season. Where was Belly? Belly was hurt. At least that's what we saw on social media.
Undisclosed injury.
Okay.
Undisclosed
Hey,
injury.
what'd you make of that clown stuff? We didn't talk about the clown stuff. We'll get back to the game here shortly, but we've been going at this for a while here now with Matt and I. So what'd you make of the clown comment from Gerard Gallant? Doesn't do that kind of stuff. Rarely does he single out an individual or call out an individual or talk about an individual scenario. He usually speaks in generalities big time and avoids singling out any player or any coach big time, but he did it here this morning.
I think he was. I think it felt personal to Gallant that DeBoer would come out and say that about him, and he took it personally. And in the moment, in responding to that question, I think the word clown just kind of came out naturally. I don't know that was premeditated at all, but he felt, like Bryce Harper, that it was a clown comment, and that's probably how he meant it. I don't think there was much to that, to be honest. I think the comments were kind of ridiculous. Like you mentioned, that's not who Gallant is. He's never been that way, but I don't know that there was too much there. You want to call it bulletin board material and whatever else. I highly doubt that had anything to do with the outcome of this game, especially considering through the first 50 minutes, the Knights had a 3-0 lead and they were completely dominating. So, in one ear out the other, in my opinion. I don't think that'll carry over at all. The fans may want to run with it because fans love to run with those kinds of things, and that makes the rivalry that much better. These two teams have played a lot in the last couple of seasons, 13 times already just in the playoffs. This is as much as we wanted to pump that Kings rivalry, especially after the playoffs last year. This is the rivalry right now for the Golden Knights. They knocked the Sharks out in San Jose last year. The Sharks knock them out in San Jose this year. This is the rivalry for them, and next season is going to be fun. The Knights are going to be better. I would imagine the Sharks are going to try to get better in the offseason as well, and wouldn't be surprised if you see them in round 1 or 2 again next season.
Yeah, Erik Karlsson's a free agent, right, I believe, because they only got him for the 1 year. They didn't extend him. Getting back to the clown thing, I like Gerard coming out and saying that. Kind of gave a little bit of a distraction. Not that the Golden Knights weren't mentally prepared enough. I feel like that locker room, and I'm sure you do too, Matt, that's a strong locker room. They don't need a coach to kind of fall on the sword or take attention away from them. It's a locker room that can handle pressure. And I was going to tweet this too before the game, but I just, didn't bother with it. Is it time to get a captain in? I'd say, Game 7's perfect time to have a captain. But then you just look at the way they played. You don't need a captain. Now, you might need a captain now to kind of console this team after losing a game the way that they lost it. But, maybe they finally come forward, and in year 3, this franchise, maybe you do have a captain of this Golden Knights team.
I think it's time. You need a true standout locker room leader. Whether or not the guys get along or not, and we know that they do, but you need somebody that's going to be able to come in and just kind of take over the locker room. You want out of a captain. You want a guy that's accountable for things, that's going to hold other guys accountable for things, and we'll see who that guy is. We've heard from Jason Pothier from Sinbin that Max Pacioretty is probably that guy because he was a captain of Montreal, but we'll see.
Yeah, Matt Evans saying Marchie. I like Marchie. That could be a good pick. Marc-Andre Fleury. There's a lot of candidates, but I think now is the time.
Goalie generally not the captain.
Yeah, correct. But it is time. It's time to get something going. Sorry, I just saw another comment that I wanted to read. Hold on. 2 of the worst calls in sports this year. Oh, yeah. Another one chiming in about the Saints. Now we know how the Saint players and fans feel, so I want to bring up this. How does the franchise react to this, Matt? In the sense, does Bill Foley come out and say something publicly? I think Golden Knights fans, right, again, there's not a lot of hate right now. I mean, there's frustration and anger, but it's more shock than anything. Does Bill Foley step up? Again, don't know exactly what Turk said. Somebody commented that this was worse for him than losing in a Stanley Cup final like they did last year, which is clear and obvious. But does Bill Foley come forward and really make a strong statement to the NHL about, hey, this call changed the entire dynamic of our franchise or our series, right? The franchise's young history. I mean, you can make that argument. So I wonder what Bill's going to do. I know he's not a guy that would ever beat around the bush, but I'd like to see a response from the team in some way, shape, or form. It doesn't have to set the earth on fire, but I think a strong statement from the Golden Knights about how this call wasn't reviewed properly would be something that I would advise them to do.
I think they sit back for a day and wait to see what the NHL has to say about it. If the NHL wants to come out and say, no foul, no harm, right call, whatever, and Sharks win, then you're probably going to see a lot of blowback from people within the organization. If the NHL comes out and they admit their mistake and they say, yeah, that call was blown and maybe we need to look at things like this and these kinds of situations and penalties can be reviewable if the refs don't know what happened, which clearly they didn't in this case, then you'll probably not see the blowback from the organization other than good, we agree with that, and we're glad that they're going to look into it and hopefully change things. So I think a lot of it hinges on what the NHL has to say.
All right, so I'm about to wrap this thing up because I'm getting a little tired, and I'm tired of, depressing everybody here. But let's get to the point again, recap, Matt. This was a rob job. This was not a choke job. This was a rob job for the Golden Knights.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It was the wrong call in a bad spot, and it cost the Knights 4 goals. It cost the Knights the game, cost the Knights the series, and that's the season, man. It was a very up and down season. It wasn't like last year at all. It had some highs, it had some lows. But the bottom line is this team is going to get better. They got better this season than they were last season, even though the record didn't reflect that. They've got a better roster. They're going to have a better roster next year. And man, this is a team built for the long haul. They're going to be good.
Yeah, tough to process it, but I'll echo the sentiment that I continually do. Vegas, even though this one is horrific to swallow, it's like swallowing a bag of nails. You now have a major league franchise that's made the playoffs 2 straight years. Certainly, you can say that they should definitely be in round 2. They've been the favorite to win the Stanley Cup for 2 years now. Not supposed to happen, and yet it did happen. Just like scoring 4 goals on a freaking power play, that part gets me more fired up than anything.
The longest power play I've ever seen in my life.
Scoring 4 goals on a power play shouldn't happen.
Never ended.
It shouldn't happen, and yet it did. So
really shouldn't.
You're talking about defying the odds. The Golden Knights as a franchise have done that, making the playoffs 2 years in a row, and they defied odds by giving up 4 power play goals. Again, not their fault. Maybe we'll break down film and we can look at that moving forward here. But I just think, once that momentum started, the penalty gets called, you get a goal in 6 seconds. I mean, that building goes nuts. You're just trying to weather the storm, and they put in 4. And the fact that the Golden Knights even tied it up, as we touched on, Matt, with 40 seconds to go, I think was a feat in and of itself to even force overtime. I just thought that would have been some nice poetic justice if the Golden Knights had won it at overtime. Talking about that'd be the toughest
would have been great.
first round series maybe in NHL history, to be up 3-1 and then to win it 4-3 on an overtime game that you were up 3-0 in and got hosed and gave up 4 straight goals. I mean, that would have been an amazing chapter in a Cinderella season that could have led to a Stanley Cup final. Somebody else posted it here. Maybe the Sharks now are the favorite to win the Stanley Cup when you look at all the teams that have gotten knocked out. The West has St. Louis.
I think it's the Blues, personally.
It has St. Louis, it has the Stars, and it has the Sharks, and it has the Avalanche. So still, it's not the teams that people really expected. And I think in all those series, you could really make a case where Winnipeg maybe should have advanced. For sure, the Calgary Flames should have advanced. And then, who played Dallas last night that Dallas won that game? Can't remember. Oh, the Nashville Predators. Yeah. So you can make an argument that the wrong 4 teams won in the West, and it could have easily been these other 4 teams here. On to Coach TJ. Matt says, agree on the Blues, says Nicholas. Ron chiming in, now WNBA and UNLV talk. Yeah, that's the summer here in Vegas.
But first, Thursday night, guys.
Yeah. Thursday.
NFL draft.
Yep.
NFL draft. Your soon-to-be Las Vegas Raiders have 3 picks in the first round. Get ready.
All right, so we're going to wrap it up. You guys can continue to comment. Just watch from the start here. Again, 4 freaking power play goals end the season for the Golden Knights, and still it wasn't enough.
So
still, it had to go to overtime. So, all right, Matt. Well, try to get some, I guess, grieve however you grieve. I'm going to sleep. It's going to take me some days to get this. The fact that we're not going back to T-Mobile Arena. I left the arena the other day thinking, oh, yeah, we're going to come back here. And then I left and said, oh, shoot, we might not come back here. And we're not going back there to see hockey until September, October, whenever it is. So it's just, the goal.
Season starts in October.
Fans are going to be extra fired up. I think they're going to really pay attention to this regular season and have a feeling this is going to set a good tone for this team going into next season. But it's going to be a long, long wait before next year's playoffs get started. But again,
motivation, man.
Golden Knights should be a part of that playoff conversation. There's no question about it. So you're talking about playoffs 3 straight years to start as a franchise. Can't take it for granted. I'm not doing that, but certainly you have to think the Golden Knights are in a position to make the playoffs yet again. All right, Matt, any final thoughts? I finally want to end this thing.
Unfortunate, man. Unfortunate way to lose a series, to lose a game. Use it as motivation. Turn this thing around, get better in the offseason, and carry this through next season all the way to the end.
All right, thanks for hopping on, everybody. Again, we appreciate it. Always do. Give our page a like if you haven't done it before. For Maddie on this side of the screen, I'm John. And, hey, go Knights, go. They got robbed, but that's okay. They'll be back next season. Just be patient. All right, we'll see you guys next time on the show.